Welcome back to Red Bull Rampage. It is day 2 on location for myself and the Pinkbike team. It's a little bit moist out there this morning, so we got going a bit late, but hey, we're here now. We're gonna get out on the course and try to catch up with as many riders and their detailed Rampage rigs as possible. Hopefully you caught some action from yesterday where we caught up with 5 riders. If we're lucky, we're gonna get at least that many today. So let's not waste any time. Let's get off this ridge. We've made it. We have found the man himself. I had to literally climb up a mountain to find Brage because he has been living and digging in this area for like the past 10 days. One of the hardest working guys out here. We've got Brage Vestavik's GT Fury here, and let's start with the size.
Size large, the biggest size. Yeah, it's not the biggest bike, you know, like I have it short in the back and steep here, so I have it like as short as possible.
Everybody out there in the internet world calls you the big Viking. I mean, next to you, he's not that big, but just for sizing's sake, how tall are you and what do you weigh?
I'm 185 centimeters and I weigh about 96 kilos.
It's about, that's like 40 kilos more than me actually. All right, moving on. He's a big dude. What size wheels have you chosen for this Rampage event?
27.5, front and rear.
And just to create a little more traction out there, because you're starting on the chute and ripping on the side hills here, what sort of rubber are you running to compensate for that?
Michelin downhill 34. I basically run them like all the time on all my bikes.
Are you running some tubes or are you going tubeless?
No, just tubeless. And like the sidewalls on these are pretty hard. So yeah, you can kind of run lower pressure and they're still pretty hard. I run about 27 PSI in the front and 33 in the back.
All right, let's bring it to suspension, Brage, because that's obviously also really important. I mean, every component on your bike is, but tell us what you know about your Fox suspension.
I know I run Fox and I know I run a lot of pressure.
We've actually got Brage's mechanic here on set. He has taken care of this little whip all week long. He's just informed us that we've got 300 PSI in the rear shock, which is maxed out, and they have crammed that thing full with as many volume spacers as they could. And then up front, you're running 117 PSI, and same situation, all the volume spacers. All right, let's talk about the cockpit real quick, because you mentioned you do like a bit of a shorter bike. Yeah. This is the large frame, so do you know the length of your stem there?
Yeah, I run Bertec cockpit, and I run the longest stem that is 60 millimeters, and I run the Ratboy bars that is 50 millimeter rise. So it's pretty tall in the front. I run Sensus grips and all Shimano brakes and gears. Yeah, and I like to run my brakes pretty hard. You can feel them.
Confirmed. I can barely actually reach it. My fingers barely just reach it. Wheels?
Yeah, I'm running the DT Swiss FR 1950. Finally found some wheels that is strong enough. I've been struggling for years to find some strong wheels, and now finally we got them.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to hold you up because you got to get way back up there.
Yeah.
Have fun, man. Joining us now, we have got Szymon, Godziek, and his NS Bikes Fuzz. Szymon, let's talk about the paint color because I really do love it. And also, what size are you riding?
Yeah, so basically NS Bikes has bigger bikes. This is the medium size. To me, it's fine. I have it mainly for big jumps, for all the fast series stops. And I love it like this on 27.5 inches wheels. The biggest change for me for this year is the rear shock, which is air. I used to have a spring on the back, and I've decided to go on the air shock to get the bike lighter, to get it more stiff, progressive, and mainly for a flat drop backflip.
Since we're talking about suspension for the people at home, because you guys are running it quite stiff, how much air are you running in the back, and do you have some volume spacers in there?
Yeah, so full of volume spacers, 300 PSI on the back, 130 in the front, and yeah, it's stiff and progressive.
I imagine a lot of compression, not too fast rebound, but some people are kind of in the middle. Like, where's your happy spot?
I think I'm in the middle. Yeah. Like, I used to have it slow, but I put it a bit quicker, and it's better to spin 360s on flat drops.
So with tricks in mind, you've got some pretty burly tires on. What kind of tires are you running? You're doing tubes, and what kind of pressures?
So I'm on Continental tires. They're Baron front and rear with tubes, Tubolito, Austrian brand, super light and strong tubes. The pressure is 3 bars.
We got the chrome bits, even the cockpit. So
Have you seen the double disc?
I haven't seen the double disc until just now. Actually, that's kind of crazy. Front and rear.
Just for steez.
It looks like you're actually running a bit of a wider bar. Maybe it's an optical illusion because it's a bit flatter as well. What rise are you running there and how wide are they?
It's 780 millimeters and the rise is, I guess, 25.
Yeah.
And NS Bikes pedals, as well as the bars are from NS Bikes as well. And some reverse components, the seat posts and the seat.
You're another rider out here rocking the single speed setup. I can see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need gears here. I need good brakes and that's it. Having the shifter on the bars for me sucks. Like, I don't want to have anything there except the brakes.
Sick ass. Good luck out there, man. Looks like you're riding well already, so
Thank you.
keep at it. Thank you.
Boom.
Cheers. Middle of the day here. This guy's just about to head on to lunch, but he's gonna give us a quick little bike check on the Rocky Mountain Maiden. Carson Storch, can we start with the paint job? Because I really dig it.
Yeah, my good buddy from home, actually my first job was at his bike shop called Ben Cyclery. His name's Eric Smith. He painted it. I didn't really have any ideas and I was like, here's a blank frame, just do whatever you want. And he came up with this crazy paint job. I can't really describe it. Kind of looks like smoke or something.
So how tall are you? Because the riders at home are quite surprised at the size bikes that you guys are riding. So maybe just to throw it out there, how tall are you and how much do you weigh?
I'm 5'10" and I weigh like 175, 180.
So you're not a giant guy out there, but I suspect, like everybody else, you're running a very firm and somewhat slow suspension. Do you want to tell us a bit about the fork first, and then we can talk about the shock?
Yeah, so I got an SR Suntour Rux 38 mil. Pretty much the internals are custom tuned to be super progressive, and the rebound is tuned to be pretty slow too. And I run my fork, the rebound is a little faster than my rear shock. But basically it just ramps a bunch just for the big impacts out here. And the top is like fairly supple, so you can still ride, you know, normal stuff. And then the rear shock has a 650 pound tie spring on it. So it's very stiff and very slow. And it's also tuned to be very progressive and ramp up. So it's pretty much just for impacts and popping off lips and high speed compressions and yeah.
So what kind of tires are you running? And are you running tubes like some of the other people as well?
Yeah, so I'm riding for Michelin and I'm running their DH22 tires and I have Tannis Armor inserts. So I'm running tubes with the tube protector and that acts as something to just lock the bead in as well. So these tires are really hard to put on and they don't want to come off. In 2019, it kind of screwed me on my second run. So I just decided to go the route that, yeah, the route of no tires blowing off the bead.
I noticed these are the first carbon hoops I have personally seen out on the course.
Yeah.
What are you running there?
Yeah, so I'm running Tidal carbon hoops. They're basically like WeAre1s and ride for Chris King as well. So running their hubs and they're sweet. Chris King headset as well. But yeah, wheels are light, but the carbon on these rims it's stiff and they actually bend and you can true them back. So it's kind of strange, but they're crazy strong, lighter than an aluminum wheel by a little bit. And yeah, I'm liking them.
Well, this is the first Tidal cockpit I've seen out here on the Rampage course. So tell us a little bit about your bars, maybe the rise and the width. People love to know that stuff.
Oh yeah, all right. Yeah, so Tidal Components, it's Brett Reeder's company. It's a good buddy of mine. He's killed it. He's a super nitpicky guy. If you don't know him, he likes his stuff the way he likes it. And I love all the parts and been riding for him since kind of the test stages. So psyched on it. But yeah, my bars, 25 mil rise, 35 mil clamp with obviously a direct mount. And I don't know millimeters, but it's like 31 wide. And then the seat is awesome. It's kind of the dirt jump saddle, but I like it. It's good for grabbing when you're doing superseders. It's out of the way.
All right, braking power, extremely important out here. You're basically just falling right out of the sky and you need a brake check sometimes. So What's your stopping situation?
I got the good old Shimano Saint braking system on here. Trusty, they're super powerful. They feel amazing. Been running it forever. Been riding for Shimano for a long time, and just durable, and it works. And the 203 rotor in the front, 180 in the rear. I don't know, I've always ran 180, and I mean, I can ride steep stuff with it, so I just run it. And yeah, and then drivetrain is all Saint as well, and it's just durable. You can trust it.
Well, thank you, Carson, for joining us. Get some lunch in you, because the day is young. You got to get back up there.
Yep, got a guinea.
Thanks, boss. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Joining us up next, we have got Brandon Semenuk's extra large Trek Session. You probably already guessed that because it looks like a session. Now, this was probably the most highly sought after bike out here at the Rampage course after day one's bike check. So, you know, I took it upon myself to fight the good fight, reach out to the Don, and he's quite busy up on the hill, still trying to finish some lines. So we had a little chat while he was slinging dirt. I got as many details as I could, so let's dig in. First things first, you probably already noticed, but this is a single crown fork, and I can tell you already he is putting it to use to the best possible way. We've got the RockShox Zeb Ultimate fork up front here with 190 millimeters of travel. Brandon's a pretty tall guy. He's standing at over 6 feet tall, and he weighs about 175 pounds. So when we're talking suspension, he did say he doesn't run his suspension super stiff like some of the guys out here. He does like it to feel comfortable and have a bit of forgiveness. So up front, he's got 3 tokens in the fork, and he runs 63.5 PSI. To complement the fork up front, he's also running a RockShox air shock in the back, so it's easily adjustable out on course, and he's running 276 PSI. As you can imagine, there are some clicks of compression added onto there. We don't have the specifics on that, but he did say he likes to run it on the slower side, but not too slow. Moving on up to the cockpit here, Brandon's running a whole plethora of Chromag parts. These Fubar OSX bars, I think he's been on those for pretty much as long as I've seen him on a mountain bike, personally speaking. He's got the aluminum version, and he's running them at 780 millimeters wide with the 25 millimeter rise. Moving on to the drivetrain, Brandon's running a SRAM Axis 7-speed drivetrain. Beautiful gold cassette back there. And it's super nice because it keeps it a really tidy area up front, much less cables to worry about. Brandon said he's been running the mullet setup on these sessions for quite a few years now. He's got the 27.5-inch wheel up front, 26 in the back, and because you've got flip chips and options here for your geometry settings, he's running it in the high setting to compensate for that smaller wheel in the back. A cool little feature that Brandon's mechanic had installed on this bike, when we flip it over, you can see that they put a crank stopper in there. That's actually quite handy when you're doing some tail whips, no foot cans. You don't want your crank spinning around and being in the wrong position, so it takes a good bit of pressure to move those cranks around. Moving on to the rubber, he's got Maxxis front and back. He's running the Assegai up front and the DHR in the back. And when we're talking air pressures, he's running tubes like a lot of other riders out here. He's got 31 PSI up front, 34 in the rear. For stopping power going down the hill, you guessed it, Brandon's also running SRAM brakes, and he's got 200 mil rotors front and rear. Let's get this bike back over there to the guy. Super appreciative of his time and the information that he shared with me. He's a busy guy, and I knew that you guys at home also wanted this information, so I did my best. There it is. We're nearing the end of the day. We're about to get kicked out because it's dark, but Vinny T just finished practicing, so he's gonna give us a few moments of his time so that we can talk about his Scott Gambler here. And to start, let's just say what size it is, because it's a bit of a longer looking bike than some of the rides I've seen so far.
Yeah, it's a size large.
And what size wheels are you accompanying that large frame with?
27.
Let's bring it over to the paint job, Vinny, because that's my personal favorite hit, and then all the custom decals to go with it.
Yeah, I did the custom with my brother Loris, and he did the graphics, and we chose the color together. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the color.
What brakes are you using out here? Because they're pretty important as you're screaming down the chutes, controlling your speed.
I use Tech 4 V4. This model is new, I think, not already available, I think. But I really like the feeling. It's softer than the previous one and so much control, so much power.
Let's talk about the suspension. You've got the Marzocchi fork up there. How are you running it for these conditions?
I think I have 110 psi, and compression I don't really know, but something like middle, and slow rebound. Same on the back, slow rebound, a lot of compression, and I think all the tokens on the fork and all the tokens I can do. I can put on the shocks too.
How much do you actually weigh? Because you're pretty tall, you know?
I weigh 80 kilos.
And how tall are you? Just for the riders at home that want to set their bike up like you.
1 meter, 88 centimeters.
What kind of rims are you running? And tell us a bit about your tires.
So I ride the Hope Fortus 30. Yeah, same setup as all the year. And Michelin tires, DH34, tubeless.
So you must be running extremely high pressures just to make sure you're not rolling a tire.
I don't really know exactly, but something like 2.2 bars.
What are you running for your drivetrain?
I run box 1, 7-speed.
And moving on to the cockpit. Tell us a bit about your bars, and you've got a good stem spacer under there, so that would signal you like it a little bit higher.
Yeah, I like to ride my bike with high cockpit. And my bar is 780 millimeters, on stem maybe 40 millimeters.
Thank you so much, Vinny, for giving us some time. You were up on the hill pretty much first thing this morning, all the way to the darkness. So stoked to see you put some lines together.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, have fun out there.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to a couple more of the Freeride bike checks out here at Red Bull Rampage. Unfortunately, we didn't get as many as we wanted, but it was a big day up on the hill. Riders were scurrying around trying to finish their lines, which I can tell you, they're definitely not all done. But then they had a huge session at the end of the night. So stoked to catch up with a couple of them in between runs. And definitely make sure you stay tuned for the rest of the week. We've got more Rampage coverage coming, and subscribe if you haven't already.